And we're back after some technical difficulties. And of course, we got our Bruce Naylor from Business Computer Weekly. Is that right?
That's close.
Did I screw it up again?
Business Computing Weekly.
Business Computing. Okay.
Right.
Right. Now, actually, I was looking, kind of on your website and stuff, and I noticed that before, didn't I jump on your show and we actually did some Microsoft stuff, didn't we? Like on the new Windows 8 coming out?
Yeah, we did. Gosh, what's that been? Maybe 3 or 4 months ago?
I don't know. It seems seems longer than that, but you're probably right.
Right.
and it's funny because
it's been a while.
Now I figure since there's actually been a lot of changes, it seems, or announcements and things like that. So, I kind of made my initial assessment on a lot of this, but like I said, I really don't know. I'm only scraping the bare bottom on the business side of things. I think it's actually important business because it kind of it's kind of the gray line between consumer and business because one kind of goes in the other. So sometimes for the consumer side to get adopted more, if it's well established in business sometimes and vice versa. Now, of course, we're here to we're going to be discussing, the biggest one is Windows 8. Also going to be discussing the Surface tablet that they're coming out with. And if we got time, we're going to talk a little bit about the MacBook Pro Retina and how that's adopted in business. Welcome back to the show there, Bruce.
Thanks for having me on. Let me just get my diet soda here and we'll get started.
Okay. Now,
right.
Of course, now we know a little bit about it, and we're showing I think it's 3 or 4 different kinds. We got the Windows 8 home. Well, I don't know if they call it the home version.
Right.
Windows 8 Pro, and Windows 8 Enterprise, and WinRT, which is going to be, of course, their tablet version. Of course, they also have a tablet version of the Windows 8 Pro coming out.
Right.
Now, I do know some initial assessments, the way you think about Windows 8. And recently I seen some Twitter feeds on this. Now, give me your thoughts after, we know some more information about Windows 8. Can you give us?
Well, first off, I'm going to actually start with the positives of Windows 8. And I think one of the biggest positives, of course, is the real improvements in performance of the operating system. I mean, it's really very, very fast, and that's great. Microsoft's done a heck of a job, I think, with different elements of the operating system, including the task manager. I think they've done that's really awesome. The enterprise version introduces Windows to Go. Now, just so people are clear, enterprise is only available under what's called volume licensing. So it's really not the OS that you can go out as a consumer and buy unless you have you've got to actually generally that is for an enterprise, a lot of users. So that's, I think, kind of interesting. Unfortunately, it only works on a couple USB drives. I find that kind of interesting. I don't remember the name of the drives exactly. It's got to do with the way they're certified to operate, I guess. Also, if you don't like Arrow, if you're not a big fan of Arrow, Microsoft has kind of flattened the whole look of it's actually, if you remember when Microsoft was working on XP before they gave it the Luna interface, the Luna look, it was called it was codenamed Whistler, and under Whistler they had what they call the watercolor type theme, and they've kind of brought that back in Windows 8. But the point being is a lot of the silly glass effects and all that are now gone. It's a very flat, and I kind of actually like it. Look to it. Those are some of the advantages. Of course, Hyper-V client can be installed in the professional version, so no need to necessarily go out and buy additional virtualization software, as you can use it there. So there's some really, really good stuff about Windows 8. So I want to be clear with everybody on that. And I also think it's going to be a make for an excellent experience on a tablet. I really do. And I think the new Windows Phone 8, Windows Phone 8. Nokia just introduced some new models. The new Nokia 920, I think, is a beautiful phone. Enough to make me sit and think twice before I order another iPhone when they come out. So I think all things combined, I think it's really, really neat operating system in a lot of ways. Now, here's the downshot. I deal on the business side of things, so the adoption, we're not looking for any real adoption on any kind of a large scale of Windows 8 in the business world. Okay, and I think there's a couple reasons for that. Well, there's actually several reasons, things that's going on right now. First off, Intel just issued a warning, earnings, or what they call guidance, for fourth quarter on earnings, and they're issuing a warning saying, look, our sales are down, revenue is down over 7% over a year ago at this time. And because they're faced with this multi-pronged attack, one, they're dealing with the recession. Really, we're still in a recession, and purchasing agents are not looking to buy more computers right now unless they're absolutely necessary. And secondly, consumers are now looking at buying smartphones and tablets as opposed to PCs. And this has cost Intel over $1 billion in revenue. The hope was that Windows 8 would help revive the fortunes of Intel and the Dells and the HPs and the Gateways of the world. But that doesn't appear to be the case too much. We have to take a wait and see attitude in the consumer market, but certainly the PCs are really facing a loss of market share to phones and to tablets. So that being said, I think Windows 8 is actually a good first try for a mobile computer operating system. Okay, but in the business world, it's really a non-starter. As I said, there's kind of a financial problem out there in the economy. It's going to require a lot of retraining people on how to use Windows and get them comfortable with it. And yeah, I mean, I've heard different arguments that, once they get into the desktop app, they'll probably just stay there. That's true, but there are certain tools that will take you back to the start screen. That you can be in the desktop, do something in an application there, and suddenly find yourself in the start screen. So there's some real inconsistencies there that are going to be a showstopper in the business world. May not matter so much to consumers as much, but definitely is going to be some showstoppers in the business world. So my prediction is that most companies, when they order new PCs, they will order them with downgrade rights, and they will ship with Windows 7. That for the foreseeable future, Windows 7 may very well be the next Windows XP, at least in the business world.
Now, I like the concept of what they're doing with Windows 8. Especially
it's original. It is original. I'll give them credit. They're not copying anybody.
Yep. And I like the idea of the Metro UI and Windows RT. Now, I'm with you, and you're the one that gave me this idea, actually, that, they should kind of keep them separate on the desktop. I'm not sure why they're trying to put both together. Perhaps they want to try to get more people into the Metro UI because it goes with, you know, a lot of their other, you know, their Windows phones and even the Xbox, I suppose, somewhere, but not really to do with business.
Well, so Microsoft has got this. They've got the idea that they're going to unify the user experience across all devices. As you say, whether it's the Xbox, whether it's your phone, whether it's your tablet, or whether it's your PC. What they're getting a lot of pushback about is that the way people use a desktop PC is quite a bit different than a phone or a tablet. But that being said, Microsoft, you know, they're looking at this loss of market share to the tablet world. Okay, I mean, most phones don't run Microsoft software. Tablets really don't run Microsoft, you know, operating systems. They've got to do something to get out there, and because even though they may have 90% of the particular market, that market is truly in decline. It's never going to go away. I mean, there's always going to be, for the foreseeable future, desktops and laptops, but in the big numbers to generate the revenues that they need, they've got to be out there and have a competitive operating system in the mobile space. The question is, you know, why didn't Microsoft at least give us something more like iOS versus OS 10, where, you know, let's take, and we've got this operating system for the Xbox, for the phones, for the tablets, and let's go ahead and have and really improve the OS on the desktop, make it a little bit different because it's used differently. I think for a lot of people, the start menu or the start screen on Windows 8 on a desktop PC doesn't make a lot of sense, because simply of the way people use it, they're going to go right to the desktop app anyway and stay there.
Yeah, I think just what you mentioned, I think most businesses are going to kind of stick with Windows 7. I mean, a lot of them probably upgraded from Vista, and I think they want to see how Windows 8's going to be adopted, or, you know, before they switch. And of course, what you said before, I'm guessing the Windows 8 Pro is downgradable to Windows 7 or something like that.
Yeah, so there will be downgrade rights, and yeah, the Pro version would be downgradable to Windows 7 Professional. Okay, the home the premium version of it would be downgradable, I think, to Windows 7 Premium. So yeah, there'll be some downgrade. Yeah, absolutely, there's going to be downgrade rights. Absolutely.
Okay, we do have some, there's some new developments, I guess, that came out recently. Supposedly Windows 8 is going to be a $40 upgrade. I'm guessing they're doing this to try to get it more adopted.
Yeah, that's, I think, valid from the launch date, general availability date through January, I think. It's a kind of a time frame that Microsoft gives you to do that upgrade.
Oh, okay. Actually, I didn't know there was a time frame on that, but
yeah.
And actually, I didn't know about the volume price. Well, I've forgotten about it on the Windows 8 Enterprise. Now, tell you what I'm really excited about is the Metro or the Windows RT. And now, from what I understand, it's going to be pre-installed. You can't buy this separately and just throw it on a tablet. Of course, it's going to be ARM-based. And of course, we're going to go also into the Windows 8 Professional, which is going to be also available on Intel tablets too. Of course, they're coming out with a Surface. And do you think something like this would be viable in business? I mean, would it be adopted?
Well, I think to answer your question, the Intel version of the Surface tablet, I think business is going to look very, very carefully at it, especially the ability to run, any of your Windows applications on it. So yeah, I think they're going to look at it very, very carefully. Depends. We haven't heard pricing yet, where we're going to be price wise on these at. I think to me, RT is actually a little bit more interesting. And the reason I say that, we're going to see a slew of manufacturers come out with RT based tablets. Now, as you know, there's Microsoft's not really been very forthcoming as far as will enterprise manage RT tablets, because invariably people want to bring their RT tablets to work with them. And so supposedly there's going to be a tool released to help manage RT tablets in the enterprise. Okay, because with the Intel Surface tablets, those will be able to actually join a domain and be managed by group policy and all these wonderful things. But RT is a little bit different. The biggest problem I have with RT is that we're probably going to see a lot of maybe Atom type processors powering these things, and are we going to be seeing a really underpowered tablets being shipped, running RT? And that's kind of an interesting question to see how that works. But they're really looking at the RT tablets more as a competitor to things like maybe the Nexus 7, the Kindle Fire, that kind of thing. And whereas the Intel version kind of is the odd duck, because should I go with an Ultrabook or should I go with a Surface tablet? Is kind of that in that odd space right there.
Well, see, now what I'm wondering with the Windows 8 Pro on the Intel tablet, because I don't know, from what I guess we've seen in some of the development previews and things, that how's the touch interface? Is it going to be as good as on the Windows RT version? Because Windows on a tablet is not a new thing. It's I believe Windows 2000 or something around there was used before. It didn't seem to get popular. I don't know if it's due because it wasn't the touch experience just wasn't there enough to
Well, some of the manufacturers are already demonstrating the tablets with the stylus. Okay, that you can actually use a stylus with them. The touch, I haven't physically been able to obviously work with a Windows 8 tablet. What you do here is that Office, for example, runs on there's an RT version and then there's the Intel version. Has been optimized for touch. Office 2013 has been optimized for touch. But the folks that have tried it still say that there's problems, with some of the buttons being too small or not friendly to gestures like it should be. So there's a lot of tweaking that needs to be done there on the Office side of things. And it's really up to other application developers to touch enable, different applications for the, I don't see, I guess, at the end of the day, I don't see a big rush on any of the major software houses to start doing a lot of work touch enabling their desktop applications to run, so that they are touch friendly anytime soon. I don't see that.
Now that you mentioned Microsoft Office, I know they're planning on giving a free version. I think it's on the Windows RT, or is it the Windows 8 Pro tablet?
Well, it's RT.
Yeah.
So with RT, there'll be a special version of Office that comes with the RT tablet. And that's probably the only desktop type app that will run on the RT tablet.
And well, I'm guessing, of course, this might be, kind of like a freebie to, hopefully, get these tablets adopted more. Obviously, if you get a free type version.
Yeah, that's definitely an incentive. And that's why I think you're going to see, because I would imagine there's going to be quite a price differential there between the Intel-based Windows 8 tablets and the RT. And so I think you're going to see a number of people looking to purchase the RT tablet and bringing it into the enterprise. And that takes me back to the point of, great, now you've got these users with these RT tablets. They want to use them at work. How do we manage those? How do we do things like remote wipe and all these other things that aren't, and so Microsoft definitely really needs to be more forthcoming on how those things are going to be able to be managed.
Now, actually, get away from that. I know, like with Apple, with their iPad, they have this Apple configurator, which allows you to remotely manage. Well, I think it is limited. I think like 30 iPads or even phones. So I don't know if you need like somehow set up separate copies of it to do more than that. I'm kind of surprised that maybe Microsoft didn't do the same thing. Release that they're going to have a way to manage multiple tablets.
I think they will. They definitely have that on the Intel side. Okay, there's going to be tools available to do that through, as I said, through Active Directory, for example, one way of doing it. There'll be some other tools. On the RT side is we're kind of getting mixed messages there, but Microsoft, I think, is reluctantly or has been reluctant to give us a lot of heads up on how we're going to manage RT tablets. But something is coming. There will be a way to manage the RT tablets for the enterprise.
Okay, that's going to be interesting. Yeah, actually, I kind of look forward to the Windows RT tablet coming out. Yeah, well, did you once it's released and it looks viable, do you think you would even get one, or?
I'm really tight with the buck.
Okay, right.
I've got a perfectly viable iPad here.
Okay.
And I don't travel a lot, and a tablet is a consumption device for me. My iPad does everything that I need. Now, that being said, if I was going to replace it, I would probably stick with the iPad personally.
Oh, okay.
I'll stick with the iPad. So I don't see anything really compelling for me as a content consumer, I guess that's what you want to call me, on a tablet, to spend a lot of money on a Windows tablet.
Yeah, I guess you'd have to justify it, for one thing, and then.
You really do, Steve. You just, as much as I'm a gadget freak, and I'm a big time gadget freak, I really have to be careful to make sure that whatever I buy, I have a need for it, and it's a sound investment, and that I'm going to be able to somehow normally make money off it. My iPad is one of those few things that actually I do use it for work. Actually, there are times I use it for work. But just to go out and buy gadgets for the sake of buying gadgets, I don't really do that.
Actually, somebody in the chat room brought up something very cool. Of course, with the tablets, they're going to be integrating this like a keyboard cover, which I think is actually a pretty good idea. I know it's maybe not be the same thing as a PC one, maybe, but at least you got a different way of doing input.
So Uncle Al in the chat room says, "Can you type on the iPad?" Most assuredly, you can.
Yeah, I don't. It's like there's only like specific reason or.
Actually, I think Windows, the Windows 8 tablets, I like their virtual keyboard way better than the iPad virtual keyboard, because it's kind of split, on the left and right, which makes it easier to use your thumbs and type with. Can you type on the iPad documents? Yeah, sure. You can get pages for the iPad, and you can create documents, edit documents. Also, there's Documents to Go has got some stuff you can do stuff with. So there's a number of things that you can do with it.
On Uncle Al, that was on the keyboard for the Surface, or was it? No, the Surface tablet. That's what I was talking about. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. I was going to actually talk to Bruce about that. Now, also, I kind of want to throw this in there as well. Yeah, I think it might be used for business, but I kind of doubt it. I don't know. With the Retina MacBook Pro, because the price point is, it seems like it's quite expensive. I don't know if it'd be business adopted for business. I could see it perhaps for professionals to use it, like maybe video editors or photographers. But what do you think about the Retina MacBook Pro in business?
No, I think they're a total non-starter. I think the price point is just way too high. I'm just being brutally honest with you there. Macs in general don't have a lot of penetration in the world of business. Apple is counting iPads as a Mac, more or less. But no, as far as businesses, no, I don't see them making a lot of headway with the Retina display machines in the world of business, simply due to the cost.
Yeah, actually, yeah, true. I think the starting point is like 20.
We got to remember, folks, we are in a business out there is having a tough time. Main Street is hurting out there, and every dollar is precious to most companies. And they're holding back on refreshes of hardware as it is. Let alone it'd be very difficult to justify those kind of premium dollars for a laptop right now.
And since actually I kind of ran out of stuff as far as the business world, but let me get your thoughts on this, because I know we talked about this before on my show on the Tech Webcast, the Apple versus Samsung, the ever-present core thing. So it's so controversial. So give me your thoughts maybe on the core thing, or
yeah. Well, to put it in perspective, Apple didn't do so well in the Korean courts, did they?
Yeah, I believe not. No, they didn't. Actually, both of them got shafted, I think, on that one.
Yeah. Well, let's put. I think to put it into perspective, I think there's, Apple, going back to the history. I mean, Steve Jobs made no bones about the fact that he stole the graphical user interface from Xerox, the idea of the mouse, all that. He stole those ideas. He's an innovator, but not an inventor.
Yeah.
So taking that a little bit further, I think there's only certain ways to do things that make sense. I think, did Samsung copy Apple? Did maybe to a degree, but I think it's mostly minor. What I do see now is a grab on Apple's part to try to eliminate as much competition as they can. I think Samsung builds some quality products. I'm very interested in the Galaxy S3 phone. That's also a very, very cool device. You can look at it a couple different ways. Maybe Samsung did copy their stuff, and maybe it will cost them $1 billion. But look how much money they made by doing it.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe it was. I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah. Well, I have to admit, Samsung does make great products. I mean,
absolutely they do, and they make some really good stuff. Although, is it the Galaxy Note? That one's kind of odd to me.
Yeah, that's more of a niche. It seems product, I guess. I don't know.
What it was like the biggest phone out there?
I don't know. I thought it had a smaller screen, but I haven't really looked
huge.
in the Oh, is it?
They're huge.
It's like a tablet-sized phone or something.
Yeah, it's really a weird device, but their tablets are great. Their phones are great. I think there's certain ways that you do things. I mean, there's certain ways in design, the case of a phone, the kind of the way it fits in the hand, that you have to do it, that, they're all going to kind of look somewhat similar.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, usually square. Everybody says like, you can't patent a square
Well, you
tablet
got
with
to
round
patent
edges.
a rounded corner, really?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
There's only so much you can do on certain things. I mean,
right.
You could make a round tablet, but I don't know if anybody uses. I guess you could, but
a little pyramid like Saber did on The Office, the Saber tablet. But there are repercussions to this, and obviously, the patent wars just keep getting more and more intense. Motorola, is now sitting back and going, well, guys, we're the ones who invented the cell phone to begin with. And, they're looking at entering the fray. It's really, I don't think they'll do anything unless Apple really does go after Google. This is a test. This is more Apple testing the waters, how well they would do in court against Google. Which, by the way, I think Apple would lose hands down in court.
What do you think? You think they're actually going to try to go for Google next, or?
Well, this certainly, Google bought Motorola primarily for the patents that they hold. Okay, and they've got some pretty ironclad patents in, as far as using a radio radio transmitter and a phone, all these things. They've got years and years and years of engineering patents dedicated to the cell phone and so forth. And I think Google is playing it close to their chest. And if Apple does sue them, I think they're going to lose, and they're going to lose really, really badly. So, but yeah, I think Apple is certainly considering it. And the Samsung verdict here in the States is going to make them a little bit more aggressive, but they better think twice.
Yeah. I think they really kind of went after Samsung because several reasons. I kind of talked about it quite a bit before. So I could understand why they kind of suing Samsung. Now hopefully they're not going to go too crazy and do everybody. Of course, I think Samsung did copy a lot of stuff, not just the devices, but some of the accessories, some of the packaging and things like that, trade dress. But
the point is, did they confuse the consumer? Did they think they were buying an Apple product when they bought one of these devices?
Well, I don't think it was not necessarily confusion, but since if Samsung makes it too, it looks too close like an iPad or iPhone or whatever, they'll say, well, Samsung offers a similar iPhone or iPad looking device, so why don't I just get that instead? I mean, I think that's another thing that maybe Samsung considered, not necessarily confusion, but
I think it was a calculated risk on their part. I'm not saying that Samsung did not copy some of the look and the feel of Apple devices, who Apple has copied the look and feel of other people's devices, to wit, the graphical user interface, the mouse, other things of that nature, somewhere in their past. I mean, they're not innocent by any stretch of the imagination in any of this stuff. And they've also infringed on patents, specifically Motorola patents, to name some. I mean, there's a whole, really, if you start delving into the patent wars that's going on, everybody is suing everybody.
Yeah, actually. I mean, I know Apple is guilty as well, so it's not just...
You look at I like to use this analogy. Can you imagine what the automobile industry would be doing right now if they used the same tactics as tech companies are with patents?
I
mean, you look at the cars out there. If I look at a Kia, if I look at a Hyundai, if I look at a Honda, if I look at some of the Chevy products, if I take the badges off those, they'd be hard to tell one apart from the other. Essentially the same car made by different companies, essentially the same profile, the same look and feel. In fact, they try to emulate each other all over the place. You don't see them suing each other into oblivion.
Yeah. Now, it's funny somebody mentioned that too, if it was applied to cars, and somebody even mentioned something about a rear view mirror, if they patent that, and supposedly somebody came, now, I can't verify this, but supposedly they already came out with a patent, whoever invented the rear view mirror, so supposedly they're supposed to be paying a license for that, but that's a long story in and of itself.
But you get my point.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
There's certain ways, from a design perspective, to do something that makes sense, it's a good idea, and you take it and you run with it. And I think Samsung has done that, but maybe I think they went a little far on some of the accessories, as you say. I've seen that, and certainly that might be the case. But ultimately, which is really interesting, Samsung is also a supplier to Apple as well. They do supply parts to Apple for.
Oh yeah.
So I do. Did Apple? I think the interesting question is: did Samsung say, "Gee, let's copy the iPhone and let's copy the iPad and sell a little cheaper, what have you, and we'll trick the consumer into thinking, well, it's the same thing." And I really don't believe that was the case. I think probably just they borrowed some ideas for styling cues more than anything else.
Okay. I want to thank you for coming on here. We're running a little past time.
Sure.
You want to throw out anything for your show or your website?
Yeah, well, we're frugalbrothers.com. And you can find me on YouTube. I'm Frugal Tech, FRUGALTECH, on YouTube. And every weekend we post a new episode of Business Computing Weekly on YouTube. And so stop by and check us out. I always like to hear from you. Good seeing some of my friends here in the chat room.
Yeah, as well. See that's run Sunday or Monday? At what time?
I try to get them up either Saturday or Sunday.
Okay.
But normally by Sunday evening there's a new episode posted.